Hello and welcome to my review of the Lumineth Realm Lords Vanari Auralan Wardens. Now presently the only way to get these models is in the Lumineth Realm Lords army set, which will set you back £110. Games Workshop have already announced that these models will be available separately in their own box sets. All of these sets are the multi-part kits anyway, and I would hazard a guess that this kit separate would be £30. I can't see it being 35 like maybe the Dawn Riders, but still I think £30 would be about right. They could push them at 35 though. What we'll do is we'll have a look at all the models individually. We'll go through some size comparisons with other Age of Sigmar models, and then we'll go through all of the rules. One thing to note is this kit does suffer from kind of, I say, twin syndrome. They're all pikemen at the end of the day. They're going to look very similar. They've all got their pikes in exactly the same pose. I'd prefer that. I'd prefer that than having their pikes sort of upright, erect. Having them all, you know, aiming at the enemy, aiming at some knights or whatever is pretty intimidating, and it would just look a bit odd if one or two of them were just, you know, standing about. I like this kind of, this is Sparta, you know, give them some round shields and get rid of their armour and they'd be, you know, but yeah, as you can see, look how long the pikes are. They are just so long. It completely took me by surprise, however they are built quite strongly, sturdily. You're most probably not going to get any issues with breaking them off, because they're just thick enough, to survive any sort of bendage that you may apply. Anyway, like I say, going back to the twin issue, however, whichever way you're going to make them, if you're going to make them in this configuration, you can pick one of the wardens to be this high warden, and he literally is a high warden because he stood up on these this scenic base. Well, we'll have a look at him in a moment. But if you choose one of the wardens to be this high warden, then clearly you can't have one of the pikes. However, if you don't choose him to be that, he does make a normal warden, and he will look very similar to the other one, which I can't tell. I'm not being silly, I just can't tell which was the other one. But essentially you have two like this, and then there are kind of four sets of twins there, something similar to that, I guess, just off the top of my head. They do look all the same. You can't really move their heads about, you can't move their arms about or their shields. They've got exactly the same leg poses, exactly the same swords. So although they are multi-part kits, they are twins, which is really quite disappointing, and I would have liked to have seen sort of more customization, more changes and things with them, just more uniqueness. But they're pikemen in armour at the end of the day. I suppose the uniqueness you can have is with their faces. Oh dear, that wasn't very good. Different facial expressions, and different sort of these top parts that hold these plumes together. They have different sort of symbols and things. Okay, so once you've seen one, you've pretty much seen them all, because you know, they've, like I say, they have little differences between them. So this one, for instance, has a bit of a scenic base, some kind of gravel and dirt that he stood on. So you can spot them out then from that. So this is the other guy with the gravel. And then some of them have, so these two are the same, and this one has a bit of a rock, so actually he's separate. And then this one here has his foot sort of hidden by his cloak, and so does this one. So those two go together and these two go together. So yeah, as I was mentioning, so these are different, as you can see. One sort of bracing backwards, and then you've got differences between this one and this one. One thing I will say is their shields, they come with a load of shields. It's only 2 sprues, but in the set you might get 4. but it's just one sprue that's duplicated. So those two are different. This has got quite a staggered pose, that guy, and that one has got more of a leaning forward pose. It's probably one of my favourites, that one. And then you've got this guy that sort of sits alone, that's completely separate, and as you can see, he's got the kind of the same pose as the High Warden. So you'd have another one of these if you didn't pick the High Warden. And then this is a High Warden himself, really cool looking model. You know, I wish in a way that Realm Lords had like a High Warden HQ choice. You know, similar to this, maybe on a bigger base, maybe a bit more scenery, because as it stands, if you want kind of like a sword and shield leader HQ, you've only really got Light of Alfarian, which is, you know, quite expensive, 220 points to pick, although he is absolutely amazing. I don't know why you wouldn't leave home without him. But yeah, this is the High Warden. He's got this awesome like little torch thing. He's got his shield on his back. He's got some crops that are growing behind him, and he's on this scenic base. Really cool looking model. Loads of detail, really blown away with these Realm Lords. I'm so pleased I've started this army of them, and now it's just, you know, what colour I pick. I've been flicking through the old battle tome, and I really just can't decide. I might just swallow the blue pill and go for the colour that Games Workshop have for the Vanari. Anyway, there you go. That's all of the Wardens. Let's have a look at the spare parts, of which you get an absolute ton. I was, yeah, really surprised. Well, I wasn't surprised because you get 2 sprues. Yeah, worth noting that the Warden, you can pick it with without a helmet. You can change the head. So I don't know why, but I got an extra base. Not that I can make another model out of that. But still, you get this bit of scenery, which, you know, you could fill that in with green stuff or put something in there, and that's quite a nice little detail bit of scenery that you could put on, well, on any model. You can even use it on Space Marines or whatever. That's quite cool. So that's pretty decent. This is you know, a mirror image of the head that I use for the High Warden, because you get, you know, same sprue duplicated. All these shields are just duplicates of the shields that we used, and this extra little thing that's on the back of the High Warden. I've got another pike which would have been used for the High Warden if he wasn't one of those. Instead of him holding a sword, which looks really cool, you can have him holding one of these batons or Master of Ceremonies or something like that with a little crescent moon on it. That's quite cool. And yeah, just other bits and pieces like duplicates of heads, duplicates of arms, and so on. So you get a fair bit of spare parts. I suppose you could use the shields for something maybe in the future. But yeah, that's all the spare parts. And now it's time to go through the size comparison. So I already gave you a little preview of Alfarian. There he is. Awesome, really cool. I just love these pikemen, these Wardens. They're so cool. You could really just have them, I don't know, something like that. It just looks really cool. Just you know, protect it. Not that he needs protecting, clearly, but that just looks so cool. I love this kind of Romanesque kind of look, this kind of porcupine defensive stance that they've got. Amazing, really cool. Anyway, I'm getting carried away with how cool they look. So let's show you some size comparison with the Dawn Raiders. Here's one of them, looks amazing. Obviously they're pikemen, so the pikes themselves are longer than the spears. That is on purpose, of course. You know, yeah, that's, you know, complete anti cavalry killer here. Just amazing having these pikes up against this. Next to, say, Chaos Knight, which is bigger and bulkier, and actually the lance itself is, yeah, still shorter than the pike, still shorter, but yeah, amazing to see the size of this compared to these Wardens. And then I'll just show you the Wardens compared to a normal Chaos Warrior. Chaos Warrior is, I need to sort of lower myself here, on the same size base, which is quite odd for these. It's odd having these on, what, 32mm bases. I mean, I guess it works. I think they would look a bit too small if they were on the 25mm. but the Chaos Warriors, yeah, definitely suit the 32mm base. But yeah, height-wise, I mean, bearing in mind that the Warden is sort of in a crouched position, they're similar kind of height. I'd say the Warrior's just a little bit taller, but there you go. And then finally comparing them to, say, the Chaos Lord on a Karkadrak. Yeah, crazy big he is. Just milling about with all of them, and then sort of, yeah, forming some kind of defensive strategy. A special like little preview of the channel, I guess, is Varangard. There are a couple of models that you haven't seen on the channel yet, and this is one of them. Varangard, Archaon's chosen demonic steeds, look amazing, and yeah, truly massive and bulky, you know, on the onslaught of chaos. But yeah, they look tiny, don't they, these little Wardens, against something this ferocious. So I hope all of those size comparisons have helped. It was very fun doing it. Okay, and now you've reached my part of the review, where I will go through all of the rules for the Lumineth Realm Lords Vanari Auralan Wardens. They are a battle line battlefield role, and their pitched battle points cost is 120. The unit size minimum is 10 and the maximum is 30. So it'd be awesome having a line of 30 of these. And for each Vanari Auralan Wardens unit included in your army, you can take one Vanari Auralan Sentinels unit or one Vanari Dawn Riders unit as a battle line unit. So you're going to have a unit of Wardens to then either have the Sentinels or Dawn Riders. So it's one or the other. So this is still a legal army that you get in the army set with the Dawn Riders. You just have to have a unit of Wardens. Now, how does their stat line read? Well, they're a movement of 6 inches. They've got 1 wound each. Their save is 4+, and their bravery is 6. It's not the best, but it's still better than the Sentinels, which only have a save of 5+. And of course, it's not as good as the Dawn Riders, which you know, have 2 wounds each, and they have a better bravery and a way better movement speed, of course. And it's not as good as the Stone Guard, but you have to have them as Metrica. So a unit of Vanari Auralan Wardens has any number of models, each armed with a Warden's Pike. High Warden. One model in this unit can be a High Warden. A High Warden is armed with a Champion's Blade instead of a Warden's Pike. So the Warden's Pike, which is pretty much what 9 of these Wardens have, it's a range 3 inches. It's 2 attacks, 3+ to hit, 4+ to wound. There's no rend, and it's damage 1. So it's nice that they've got 2 attacks. It's nice that it's 3+ to hit, and it's good that it's 50-50 to wound. The Champion's Blade, which is what the High Warden is equipped with, is a range 1 inch, 2 attacks, 3+ to hit, 4+ to wound. It's got a rend of -1 though, and a damage of 1. So the High Warden carries a Moonfire Flask in one hand. Once per battle, at the start of your combat phase, you can pick one enemy unit within 3 inches of this unit's High Warden and roll a dice. On a 2+, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. That's amazing. So it really does help to get them in close combat, or for the enemy just to roll up against them, because you're going to be inflicting 2 or more mortal wounds statistically. Sunmetal weapons. Now this is another beautiful rule for all of these Lumineth Realm Lords. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a Warden's Pike is 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target and the attack sequence ends. So that's amazing. So you get 6s, then you're getting mortal wounds. And with 9 of them, you're going to have 18 of those at 3+ to hit. Wall of Blades. If the target unit made a charge move in the same turn, add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with this unit's Warden Pikes and improve the rend characteristic of that weapon by 1. That's amazing. So basically, if the enemy charges them, you're going to add 1 to the wound roll, which they kind of need because it's only 4+, and you also get -1 rend. Magic. Now this is one of the beauties about Realm Lords, is they're magical. The High Warden of this unit is a wizard. while this unit has 5 or more models. I don't know how you'd explain that. You know, oh, yep, I know some spells, and then suddenly your squad goes down to 4. Oh, I've forgotten my spells. They can attempt to cast 1 spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase. They know the power of Hish spell. Now the power of Hish, it's a casting value of 6. It's successfully cast until your next hero phase. The Sun Metal Weapons ability for the caster and or the unit they are a part of causes mortal wounds to be inflicted on an unmodified hit roll of 5+ instead of 6. Amazing. So really worth doing that with the power of Hish. Any number of Lumineth Realm Lords wizards can attempt to cast power of Hish in the same hero phase. Keywords: Order, Elf, Lumineth Realm Lords, Vanari Auralan Wardens. So a really effective unit. It makes your opponent think twice about charging them with cavalry or whoever. Their Sun Metal weapons are beautiful. You've got a little, I want to say psyker, but you've got a little wizard in there as well, just popping out, which I think is really worth it, having one of them as the High Warden. And if you have a group of, say, 20 of them with this one High Warden, I think that's the best way to go, because they're going to be really, really effective with those Sun Metal weapons. Although the more separate units you have of these, then the more sort of Sentinels and Dawn Riders you can have. Although please be aware that you get 10 Auralan Sentinels base, and you can have 20 of those, and it's the same for the Dawn Riders. So don't feel like you're missing out by only having one of these units. You know, if you want a unit of Sentinels and a unit of Dawn Riders, then yes, you're going to have to split the unit into 2 lots of 10, or have 1 unit of 10 and 1 unit of 20, or 1 unit of 30, 1 unit of 10. However you want to do it. You want Dawn Riders and Sentinels, you're going to have 2 of these units, but these units are pretty decent, but these units are pretty strong already. So there you go, that's the end of my review. What do you guys think of the models and the rules? Of course, they're not as overpowered as Altharion, but you know, you do get what you pay your points for with him, but they are still pretty awesome. Although you do get sets of twins, I do really like the look of them. I've never had anything like pikemen before, and I think they've done a really good job, and they're going to be fantastic on the battlefield. What do you guys think? Put it in the comments below as always. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. Techless Protects.